In this scenario, I have identified that a single manual override in the tax debate logs, and that override allowed payments to be processed without biometric verification. And the IT director has described it, he described it as an IT case glitch and has asked me to remove it from my informal review so that the minister does not see it. But again, uh, when I considered it carefully, as an information security systems auditor, my responsibility or my role is to evaluate whether controls are designed and not just designed, but that they operate effectively based on evidence. So, in order to address it, I'll address this in two parts. First is why one error under discovery sampling is considered a systemic risk, and secondly, as to why fixing this now is far more valuable than simply reporting it later. And if we actually want to carefully look at what discovery sampling is, like one error is actually important, is because discovery sampling is a statistical audit method that you use when one occurrence of a specific condition is actually unacceptable, because it's actually going to be a serious risk into the entire system. And it does not estimate how often something happens, because you will not want to just say because something happens often, then it is, but that one systemic risk can actually affect the entire system. So, what does it actually answers? It simply answers that, does this unacceptable condition exist at all in the first place? Because that's the question that is most important when engaging discovery sampling. So, in this system, biometric verification is a mandatory preventive control because it is a safeguard that ensures public funds are only paid to verified citizens, right? An acceptable failure rate for this kind of control is effectively zero. So they're actually systems that you now actually want to have even one failure rate because of the impact that that particular failure rate is going to have. So using discovery sampling, we select a sample that is large enough. For instance, among like 300, around 300 transactions, just giving an instance, at 95% confidence, so that if this problem exists at a small but a meaningful rate, we are very likely to detect at least one instance. And here is a key principle that I'll suggest, or here is a key principle. It's that if I find one override in a sample, I'm not saying that there's only one in the entire system. I'm saying the control allows this condition to occur. And once a preventive control can be bypassed, the issue is not about one single transaction. It actually becomes a matter of control weakness, right? So it's not that just one transaction is a problem. It's the fact that a weakness have actually been identified. And to explain this generally in simple terms is, if you have a bank vault door that is designed to never to be opened with two keys, like the bank vault must be opened with two keys, and I discovered once, like it opened once with only one key, I do not, it's, you not want to conclude that this was an isolated event, yeah, because there is a natural there's a natural vault mechanism. So to conclude that the vault locking mechanism allow bypass is actually a systemic error, because in this case, as the biometric verification control, you can consider it as the vault door, and the manual override shows that it was bypassed with a single key. And this is why one error under discovery sampling is statistically and professionally significant that you cannot just overlook the fact that it was just a particular instance, because it's it's actually revealing a weakness also in the system that we shouldn't neglect. So addressing the glitch argument, a true test glitch would occur in a test environment, be documented, and not result in a live payment. So this override occurred in production logs and resulted in an actual processed logs or rebates. So from an information system audit perspective, that's not a harmless glitch. It's not a glitch that was found on test environment. It was not a glitch that was found on developers environment. So something that was found on in production logs. So as such, it is not a harmless glitch, and it is this kind of evidence that the preventive control did not operate as required. So it's not a kind of glitch that I actually want to avoid. The second part, which is the fact that we'll be selling the value of fixing it now and then either improving or reporting later, is not something to be considered. You see, what I say now, I'm moving to the value of fixing it now, is actually you're actually showing is actually stating that early fixes are usually the best beyond just reporting an incident. So there are two particular cases I would actually want to suggest. Is the fact that one, I'll provide an independent assurance. And number two, I will add value by recommending improvements. So if I take a purely advisory reporting approach, I would escalate the matter immediately, but then it becomes unresolved, right? But one of my objectives is to ensure that to improve internal controls or to improve controls. So, given that particular state, right, the report will state something like this: that the biometric verification control was bypassed and fraud risk is actually elevated. And that finding would reach senior leadership in its current or unresolved form. However, we are still at an informal review stage, and this creates an opportunity. If we act immediately, we can disable, we can also probably redesign the manual override feature, and then we can then conduct a full review of all our past override transactions. We can now implement a stronger control, maybe such as dualization, authorization, or automatic login alert. And then we'll now retest the entire control to confirm if it works properly. If that happens before the final report, the narrative changes completely. Because instead of audit discovered a control failure, the report now becomes management identified and management was able to remediate a control weakness during the audit review, and we're able to suppress the increasing risks, right? So fixing the finding reduces actually the risks. So for the IT director, early remediation protects the ministry's financial integrity, also the credibility of the system, and then public trust, as well as the leadership reputation, which is very, very important. So my clear message actually will be that I cannot remove the finding because objectivity requires that material control weakness be documented. And however, we have an opportunity to correct this immediately. And if we fix this now, the report will actually reflect our improvements rather than any exposure or risks to the entire system. My responsibility is not to assign blame. My responsibility is to protect public funds, to strengthen controls. It's not just to merely report risks, but then to actively reduce risks and to improve the system before failure occurs.